Hey everyone, it's me Quince, although I have shaved as you can see. This video is going to be really quick. It's about doing an offering. So there's not a lot to say about that scientifically, but quick, Christians and atheists, before you scroll away, you are included in this once again. So even if you're Christian or atheist, please stick with it. You still can do this as a science. And let me go ahead and launch into my first thing with that, which is, like I've said multiple times, I came to this as a science, but truthfully, interacting with deities and starting to make offerings daily is in my memory as one of the most profound things I ever started to do. I definitely started to notice a power increase or just a change when I did that. So I do highly recommend this. And I guess I'm going to throw out my only other piece of supporting information, because this is another subject where it's there's really no way for me to get scientific information to back it. My only other supporting piece of information, this book right here. I'll try to learn to edit in the picture or at least the name. That book, I wouldn't really recommend that resource, even though I did like it a lot, but it's a lot more out there. If you're feeling kind of uncomfortable, that resource is just much more advanced, much more scarier looking magic, if that makes sense. But that book said that they had people who would make offerings daily to ancestors and ghosts, and only after doing it for about a year, they were able to get manifestations to start showing up, things just moving on the set that they were observing, where they were making these offerings. So they were able to see, in their opinion, evidence of these spirits after they made offerings to them after long periods of time. So those are really the only two supporting facts I have. It's just personal experience and that one book. But when you are talking about stuff like this, as much as I want my channel to be cold and logical, it's just not a studied field right now, once again. But let's get into it. So that is one thing I want to cover is, like it says in that book, I do find that consistency is a really big factor here. And I don't even think that you really need to be making a physical offering. If you don't want to make an offering, or you feel like you can't, or whatever, I firmly believe that if you were to substitute an offering with simply trying to connect with something each day and spending a designated time each day just trying to connect with something higher, I think that would also accomplish the same thing as an offering. So really, the point of the offering and doing an offering daily is to give the spirit that you're connecting with a constant and ever-growing avenue of connection with your life. So it's not that it necessarily has to be an offering, it's that every day you want to send out these little, this energetic cord to the spirit realm so that they can send that back. And I don't know, it's just as you keep doing that all the time, as you keep paving that road of connecting to something higher, that connection becomes easier and more stronger. And through the years, you have just God or spirit energy, something higher, just abundantly flowing into your life. But it is, once again, with the meditation, it's about consistency and it's about doing it for a long time. So I highly recommend that you try to make this a consistent daily practice. So I'm just going to get this little mandarin, and I wanted to just chop it up, divide it up into sections just to kind of prepare it a little. But basically all you're doing is just setting up, you just make the intention. So for Christians and for atheists, I still recommend you to engage in this practice for a lot of the same reasons that you would have saw on my how to do magic video about talking connecting with higher self, just so that you have something outside of the context of time to help you. And if you are someone who's more atheist, I would encourage you to do exactly what I did. Literally, this is what I did to a T and have been doing for years. If you don't believe in anything, or you're confused, or none of the religions or whatever are doing it for you, just make an offering to a generic highest power. You don't have to make an offering to any known God. Just say, this offering is to the highest power, the highest, most benevolent power. And that I'm going to do my offering now once I'm done with this, and you're going to see that's exactly what I do to this day. And then for Christians, I just wanted to kind of throw a caveat in there. Even though like an offering is not part of a typical Christian practice, even though I'm pretty sure it is in the Bible and stuff, I still encourage you to do this because, again, it does open that connection. And through years of experimentation, I have found that there are just rules, weird, strange rules to the spirit realm. So even if you're a Christian, even if you worship that Christian God, I believe that you still are subject to those rules and that you need to build the connection with that Christian God daily to see him more in your life. And I would, and like I said, it doesn't have to be an offering. If an offering seems like too pagan for you or something like that, or like you just don't want to do one, then just spend like 10 minutes a day just sitting trying to feel that energy of God or praying or something like that. It's just about daily building that connection with the higher power. However, another thing is I've kind of snuck in another practice into my offering. One of the main ways to be happy is to practice appreciation. So I also, as part of my offering, I list every single thing I can think to be thankful for, just as a way to be happier and as a part of my offering. And I highly encourage you to do that because even though I'm just mentioning it briefly, that is heavily known in psychology as being one of the best ways to be happy. So, do your own research, look it up. Appreciation is huge. Appreciation is a massively positive practice. I think if you do want to manifest, if you want abundance, all that, it's really important to understand how much abundance we already have. And hopefully you'll hear that reflected in my offering because it's very true. Like the things that we have in the modern realm, like just open your spice cabinet, for example. Like here's like they would go to war for these spices, like die for those spices. But now in the modern realm, we get them at a grocery store and we don't even think about it because we don't have appreciation. So, I'm very, very passionate about appreciation. I think meditation, appreciation, like those are like top 2, top 3 practices. So please practice appreciation as you do this, if you're going to be doing this. Like I said, I'm just going to be making Mandarin. Let me just pause and get it like all ready. All right, so I went ahead and prepared my little mandarins and put it on my altar. I tried to make it all cute for them. I wanted to talk about a couple of things. So for one, like my altar has all this mess right here. And don't get me wrong, I do intend to clean that up and respect is like really important. But I just wanted to warn of like not everything has to be all overly specific. Like when I bought this right-trunked Ganesha idol, they're like, oh, you can't face it south or north or like all this different stuff, or like the god's gonna get angry and smite you. And it's like, if any entity that you're working with, would get mad over something so petty and human as a messy altar or something like that, why would you want to work with them? That's always my line of thought. So, like stuff like that is just really random and weird to me. Like I want to be working with a loving, positive entity. So like that entity should be at least as loving and understanding as me, right? Like yeah. And then also the other thing I wanted to talk about is that I haven't done the offering, but I already put it there just to once again demonstrate that time doesn't exist when it comes to doing intentions like this. So it doesn't matter that the oranges are already there, that it's technically been done, because time doesn't exist to the spiritual realm that we're making offerings to. So it's fine that I'm setting my intention of it being an offering after putting the offering there. But finally, it's time to actually dive in. So what I do is I call it source, but I just make an offering to the generic highest, most benevolent power. I've called it many things over the years. I've called it God. I was raised Christian. I called it God for a long time. I've called it the universe sparsely. I've called it the highest light a lot for years. And now I've started to call it source because I found in like spiritual communities that what I'm interacting with is kind of a known thing, that like generic highest power is kind of known as source. So I have started calling it source. And also I say source beings. What I mean by that is source and all those in its will to receive the offering. So believe it or not, if you are a good person, if you're in the good standing of the spirit realm, you probably receive my positive energies and intentions and offerings all the time, because I always try to include all that's in Source's will, all that's positive when I do these things. And then another thing is I'm going to list about 10 entities after sources, source beings. I was really in debate about including that because I know that that's very off-putting to those of you who are more closed-minded to hear me list several different deities off of several different religions. But I just want to be authentic. You know, I've worked with spirits and etc. for years. They've been a huge part of my life. They've helped me massively. So I feel like if I were to leave them out of the fear of turning away some of my audience, it would just be wrong. It'd be like betraying a close friend, you know? I mean, these are, even though they may not exist in the physical, I mean, these are beings and energies that have been deeply, deeply part of my lives. I mean, I deeply love them, and I know they deeply love me. So let's get started. I'm going to kind of look away from the camera because this is very personal. Like, I can't do this as a performative piece. I need to be my own mind, you know, and just really talking to myself. So, all right, this offering is for source and source beings, namely those in the will of source, namely the great warrior queen Artemis, the great unstoppable Sri Ganesha, great mages and lords of the abyss Circe and Hecate, great fiery profiteer Apollo, great wise Odin and mysterious Sobek, great conquerors and lovers Shiva and Ishtar, great master of the ego Corazon, and great ideal of beauty Aphrodite. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for all you do for me and other people. Thank you for air conditioning, for Wi-Fi, for my home, for financial abundance, for being able to help people through videos like this. Thank you for responding to my intentions and desires. Thank you for each and every one of you. Thank you for my mind, body, and soul and wisdom. Thank you for nature and a time that we conquered nature, or like can live safely with nature. Thank you for technology, music, video games. Thank you for my safety. Thank you for such small problems. Thank you for my health. Thank you for my awesome relationship and a great roommate, a safe place to live. Thank you for our cat. Thank you for my grandma. Thank you for the new game recently. Thank you for just the education, the communication, the visions and tutelage. Thank you for everything, truly, especially when I wouldn't know to thank you for. And then something I've started doing is I also like to be, I've kind of realized that in the spiritual realm, things are more communicated like with energy or intention than words. So something I've been doing as well lately is at the end of that, I like to just kind of look around and think about my life. And rather than saying it in words, I like to try to just consciously charge that gratitude and just feel that gratitude of how great everything is, you know, or how bad it could be. So I'm going to try to just charge that up and send that off as well. And since I'm in this video, I'll try to send it to you as well, that feeling of gratitude. But that's it. And you know, the biggest thing with this, it's a very simple concept, but it's a lot like meditation where like, it's super easy to say, but the hard part is doing it every day, doing it consistently, because quite frankly, doing an offering every once in a while or doing it one time, that's great. Every time you do it is great, but to see profound true effects, to see the life-changing, world-altering effects, it takes years of dedication. It really does. But that's everything. So thank you for joining in the video. I really hope you got something out of it. I'm sorry that I took longer than the week. I promise I have no good excuses either, but I will try to put out content when I feel like it. I'm very motivated about sharing the subject. So if you'd like to learn a practical, real magic education step by someone who's been doing it for 6 years, please give me a follow, give me a like. Oh, and also, I do want to go ahead and start doing tarot and energy healings for people. So if you're interested in a personal tarot or energy healing, I'm happy to work with you on pricing, and just feel free to reach out. Because anytime that someone does that, if I were to be able to do tarot and energy healing for someone, by paying me to do that, you're allowing me to dedicate my life to doing positive action like that. So, it's not like I want to be a part of money and receive money for just doing positive things for people. But if you do give me that money, I can continue to make that positive action, But thank you so much for watching, and please drop a follow or a like. Have a wonderful, blessed existence if you deserve it. Amen.